Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a 5-piece limited edition for the United States market from Romain Gauthier of the Vallée du Jeu. This is, of course, the Heritage Collection Logical 1. Yellow gold and handsomely executed inside and out. This one has a little bit of old school charm to it, even as it flaunts the new school tech and spec for which Gauthier is known. Now, the timepiece is 43 millimeters in diameter, and in profile you can see 14.2 millimeters thick and 52.9 millimeters from lug to lug, with a 22.6 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. It's a little bit of an in-between size. Now, throwing the watch on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that the timepiece is broad, but nicely shaped, with lugs that arc down and around the wrist rather than flaring out awkwardly. I would say you could probably wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters in circumference, and with a sloped case flank, the watch will actually slide underneath a pretty tight cuff, so you can absolutely use it as a dress watch. There's your overhead, there's your down the barrel shot, and once more, there is your cuff shot. The strap is impressive. Again, it's a little bit of a curious in-between size, but you can see that Romain Gauthier has thought about smaller wrists here by drilling the lugs relatively close to the case and then using a curved spring bar so that the pivot can be straight down without any encumbrance against the side of the case. So you can see that although it's almost 53 millimeters from lug to lug, nevertheless, the watch does have pivot points that are closer together than that for fit on a small wrist. The strap is mighty. It's bolstered for thickness. It has large rectangular scale, medium brown alligator leather with a monotone stitch and a folded edge. It's calf skin on the bottom, and you can see this is a brand new Romain Gauthier factory strap with a simple custom Gauthier pin buckle in matching yellow gold. Now, the timepiece has a wonderfully sculpted case. These watches are often known for their extravagant movement finishing, but their cases are just as good. With my microfiber here, I denuded of my offending fingerprints, and you can see that the actual structure of the case, with fluting, recesses, media blasted hollows, and high polish by hand, satin finished lug hoods, and a concave bezel profile, there is really a lot of nuance and a lot to love. The trigger at 9 o'clock actually winds the watch, and we'll talk about how that works. The crown up at 2 o'clock is used for setting, so it has 2 separate controls for 2 separate functions. Makes sense. The watch is also ambidextrous because neither function will dig your wrist, whether you're a lefty or righty. Now, on the dial, there's a lot to love. First, the finish. Let's talk about it. There is an unbelievable amount of black polishing. Almost all of the bridge between the snail cam fusee and the gearing attached to the barrel. You can see that, likewise, part of the skeletonized portion as well as the regulator of the balance cock has been black polished, satinated on its primary structure as well as the cock holding the escape wheel. You can see there are also multiple interior angles. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You get the point, and that's just the front. And the interior angles are razor sharp and finished by hand to a standard that would impress Grubel Forsey and Philippe Dufour, who, it should be noted, is not far away in the Vallée du Jeu. Now, the watch includes a black Grandfaux enamel set of dials. You can see that the Grandfaux enamel is absolutely flawless. No orange peel, no rippling, no rustication or sandpaper texture that often comes with bad black enamel. This is the hardest type to achieve, and it's been done perfectly. The screws are proprietary, black polished on their top and chamfered on their sides. They are used to allow the use of higher torque to properly fix the surfaces to which they are attached. You can also see that the anglage here on the edge of every rounded surface, front and back, is a mile wide. Again, think Philippe Dufour and you get the general idea. By the way, more interior angles, satination, and black polish on the reverse side. Okay, about the showpiece. The fusee and chain. It's really a modification on the late Renaissance fusee constant force device, which would typically work like bicycle gears with the chain climbing up an ascending incline, a sort of cone wrapped around the fusee. Well, here what we have is a wheel that is geared to the barrel, and you can see the barrel is open on the reverse side of the watch, and as you push the presser, I guess we should call it the winding actuator or the winding input. You slowly wind the chain from the geared side attached to the barrel to the snail cam that acts as the fusee. Because it has a diminishing radius, you could see that when the barrel is highly wound, it is pulling a relatively small circumference. As the barrel discharges, it pulls a larger radius, creating a larger effective lever arm. The result is that for 46 hours, and it is a 46-hour power reserve, constant force is delivered to the escapement so that the balance amplitude stays constant, allowing the watch to be regulated very, very precisely. Now, the watch is 37 joules, but that's not counting the 29 that sit in between. You can actually see that there are little ruby rollers that connect both sides of this chain and act as the pivoting surfaces for the flex and articulation of those chain links. So there are actually 29 additional rubies, and once again, they sit, I'll do my best to capture this, they sit inside the chain structure, which, by the way, is gorgeous. As you can see, each individual link and pressed pin is also black polished. There's matte finish on the base plate, but you can also see that there are these raised ridges on the base plate that have been black polished, a little bit like the ridges that are used to define Grunefeld bridges. Now, turning it all over, by the way, note that the balance is free-sprung for maximum precision of adjustment and stability against shock. On the reverse side, you can see that there is a power reserve indicator, which itself is a masterclass in finishing. And then, of course, there are a few little badges noting the number of joules and the valet du jour. You can see just underneath one of these signature Romain Gauthier wheels, which feature spokes in the shape of wheels within wheels. And if you look closely, you can see that on both sides. Romain Gauthier is an engineer. He is an engineer. He's not a watchmaker, and he often thinks of unconventional ways to perform the same tasks, or in the case of his fusee and chain system, ways to improve historical systems. His wheels are not just distinctive and strong, but they're actually used by Chanel, which is a partial stakeholder in Romain Gauthier, and part of its claim to absolute financial security, unique among independent brands. All of this is 30 meters water resistant, and it doesn't have hacking seconds, so I guess it's not perfect, but my goodness, does it come close. This is a gorgeous watch that rethinks both traditional watchmaking and the standards of haute de gamme finish. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this, the latest version of a watch that in 2013 won the Men's Complication Prize at the GPHG.